Good morning. Hi, Cheryl. Hey, Donna. Good morning, everybody. Let's see if I can copy and share this. How's everybody doing today? Hey, Vanelle. Hi, Christina. Hi, Diana. How you guys all doing today? Hopefully well. See if I can put my comments on here so I can read them. Hi, Terry. I was thinking might have a couple technical trouble. I thought I might have trouble today, so I got on a few minutes early just in case. So nobody's late. You're all on time. We're gonna make a thank you box today for Thanksgiving, because maybe you want to put like a placeholder down for your family for Thanksgiving, or maybe you want to send a little thank you box or bring a little thank you box with you, which would be really fun. Thank you for sharing. Thanks for all the shares in the comments. Still warm in Arizona. It's cold here, Donna. It is cold. We went from summer to winter. I shouldn't say that. It is pretty chilly though. Oh, this is going to be fun, Mary. We're going to make a little box today. So I did want to remind you, because a couple of these things went away for a while, but if you're a fan of doing these type of projects, 12 by 12s or scrapbooking, in case you missed it, they did bring back the 12 by 12 bundles with the colors. So the neutrals I have, and I have the regals, and then I also have both of the in colors, which I use these a lot. I don't scrapbook, but I use them for projects that I make. Like for example, when I made the take your pick tool holder, this you can actually make out of a regular sheet of cardstock, but I really missed these because I like doing projects. And they also have the Whisper White, which I do have that one as well. But I'm going to let you guys choose what color we're going to use. We're going to maybe add a little bit of a decorative flourish with the Festive Farmhouse Designer Series paper. We're going to try to steer away from maybe the Christmassy and maybe more decorate it with like something that would be a little bit more fall-like plaid or the stripes. But we're going to get that started, and not a whole lot going on. Did anybody get anything good yesterday for the 24-hour sale? I know they had some great stamp sets in there, but I'll be honest with you, I already own most of them, so I didn't buy anything. That's the problem. When you have so much stuff, you don't buy anything. A box that will fit regular size cards. No, but that's a good idea, Denise. You know, maybe I can try. I don't know if I'll be able to get it done. Actually, and just as a note change, we're going to be live next Tuesday instead of next Wednesday, because next Wednesday is my son's Halloween party at school, and I won't be able to do it at that time. So we're going to do it Tuesday, October 30th at 9:30 instead of Wednesday. And then the week after that, I'll be in Disney, so I'll be on vacation, but I'll be back the week after that. So you'll miss me on the first Wednesday of November. I won't be here, which I believe is the 7th, which as a matter of fact is center stages that night. So I'll see if I can maybe do like a quick Facebook Live from Epcot or something. Oh, you were going to share? Thanks, Donna. We could have bought all the stamps we wanted. You won $2? Good for you. I don't blame you. Go out and buy yourself a coffee. Maybe, depending on where you buy coffee from, right? Okay, so I'm going to make a note of that. So Denise, I'm going to write a little note here, because if you guys do have suggestions, I'm totally up for making things. So we want to make a box that will hold regular size cards. All right. And I'm going to do that on a live. I can't guarantee when it'll be, but I will absolutely do that, Denise. No problem. I'm happy to take requests and custom Stampin' Rachthestamper lives. Oh, that would have been awesome. Stamping in Fiji. Gosh, I couldn't have turned that down for sure. I don't know how I'd get all my stamps there, though. It'd probably be better if I just ordered them and shipped them to our new address in Fiji. Huh, Donna? That would probably be cheaper. And then I could be a South Pacific stamper. A South Pacific Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Okay, so I got it. A box that holds regular cards. And I'm assuming envelopes, too. That way you can have like a card and an envelope behind it. So I'll work on that. No problem. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to make one with the Farmhouse Christmas. We're not going to use the Christmas, the truck with the tree in it. However, you could make this into a jet. Oh, I love it. That's awesome. You could make this into a Christmas box if you want. Let me just swipe these over so I can make sure I'm in the right, since I see them on there. We're going to use the house and the tree, and we're going to decorate this for like a Thanksgiving theme. But remember, you could always switch this out for a Christmas box too. So keep that in mind if you have people that come over for Christmas and maybe you want to give them a little box. I mean, it could be like full of candy or mints or who knows, anything is fine. Or if you want to give somebody a little thank you gift, you probably could fit a gift card in there as well. So what we're going to do, I'm going to use this, and I'm going to ask you all, what color do we want the box to be? Because remember, so I have the neutrals and the regals, but the neutrals, just as a FYI, also includes the Night of Navy, which it's not really so Thanksgiving-y, but we also have Merry Merlot, and we have Mossy Meadow. And we could probably make it early espresso box, but that's just a little too dark. So anybody have a choice? We have 3 colors here that I think would be great for a fall box. Congratulations on your $2, right? Isn't that awesome? All right, so Merry Merlot or Mossy Meadow. Also another one in this. So we have Night of Navy is in this one too. Soft Suede. It does have a lot of colors, a lot of grays. Mossy Meadow and Merlot. I see 2 Mossies. Oh, 2 more. Gosh, we got to have a tie. Come on, we need a tiebreaker. Merry Merlot. All right, Merry Merlot won. I wanted to go with Merry Merlot, so how about this? The box when I make for the other cards, I will do in Mossy Meadow. All right, so we have Merlot. And we're going to decorate it using, again, the Farmhouse, Festive Farmhouse DSP, but we're going to work on the box first. So I kind of have a template. I was just fooling around while I was waiting for 9:30 to roll around. And I thought you could probably do this 2 different ways. One maybe with flaps to tuck in. So I will work on this and make sure that it actually works. And then I will post this template to the blog later as well. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to do one that doesn't have the flaps. We're going to just do one that we're going to close. So it's going to close like this. And then I'll show you guys. I'll put this template on there as well a little bit later. But we'll do this. It's very, very simple. It's a super simple box to make. So we have our 12 by 12. So what we're going to do is we're going to score this at 2, 4, 6, 8, and then 8 3/4. Okay, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 8 3/4. So I'm going to cut this piece off. And then what we're going to do is we're going to score, again, on the sides, do the flaps. We're going to do it at 2. Oops, I jumped the track there. That wasn't good. Hold on. 2. And then 6. So about a 4-inch box. And then 8. And also just to note, if you notice that, so if you guys can see those double score lines there, which we'll fix it. It's no big deal. If you notice that when you're using your Simply Scored, if you guys have this, because I use this a lot for big projects, if your paper, if you find that you're jumping the tracks a lot, a good tip is to rub your cardstock with wax paper, and it makes it slide in the tracks much better. So just a little tip there for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead with my trimmer and just cut off these pieces that we don't need. Let's see if I can do this in one piece and save a big piece of paper here. There we go. I'll save that for something else. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to fold this on the score lines. And you do want to make sure that you use your bone folder when you do this. And what we'll do is we're going to put our box kind of not together, but we're going to get it ready to assemble. And then we'll add our DSP to it before we put it together. Because I find that if you add the DSP before you assemble it, personally, I think it sticks to your box a little bit better because you can actually press harder. And I've had a couple boxes that I've made in the past where I've stuck it on afterwards and I find later that it's falling off, which totally annoys me. Okay, so what we're going to do Next Wednesday. I said, yes, we're always going to be on Wednesdays, except next week we'll be on Tuesday, the 30th at 9:30. And the first Wednesday in November, I won't be here because I'll be in Disney. However, the week after that, I'll be back with you. And hopefully I'll be able to share all the cool stuff that I was able to pre-order. So we're going to cut all of these on the score line. I know this might be a little hard to see because of the color, but we're going to cut on the score line right to the edge on all of these. So maybe when we do that one where we do make a holder for the card, what we can do is we can make some cards to go in it too. So that one might be like, and then I'm going to show you one thing real quick. This little flap here, I'm going to give this an angle cut just so this goes in a little bit better, okay? So I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to go ahead and angle cut, and then I'm going to just trim this piece off altogether, just like that. So see, that makes sense there. You have, this will be the flap that closes the box. So same thing, I'm just going to trim all these. So maybe when we make that holder, we can make like a card to go in it or something as well. And speaking of, I was all day yesterday and the night before, I was making a whole bunch of cards to post on my blog. And I figured since I would be away, I would have a lot of, I did some videos and I did some cards. But I also did them in like non-Thanksgiving themes, since maybe you guys might need, since you'll probably be getting like so many other ideas, maybe you'll need a like a birthday card or a sympathy card. So I made a whole bunch of different cards. I did some using the Best Route DSP, Petal Promenade. What's that other one that's really pretty? And I can't think of the name right now. Oh, Broadway Bound. But I used the flip side with all the bright colors. So I hope you guys will like all these. It's a lot of stuff that'll be posting. So I'll give you some ideas of things while I'm gone. So we have our box here. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to fold our box. It's going to end up going in like this. You can keep these flaps on if you'd like, but what we're going to do is we're going to give the rest of them a little bit of a trim. I'm also going to keep the front flap completely square. I'm going to just give these a tiny trim just to make sure that they close. So I'm going to I mean like a super slight miter cut on this. I'm going to do this one as well. Just a tiny cut. And then the same on this side, because this is going to be the one that kind of holds your box together. So it's going to be like the one that's showing. So we want to make these so they're still pretty square. Okay. And then the rest of these, so the second one and the third one, we're going to give these a significant trim. So you can kind of cut a little bit. I'm going to grab my bigger scissors. A little bit of this off. And then a miter cut. Same on that one. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to cut a little bit of this off. And a miter cut here. And then this one you can keep, so it actually will go into your flap if you want. So this one you're going to have to give a little bit of a trim down as well because you want it to be able to slide in there smoothly, or you can take it off completely. It's up to you. So I'm going to give this one a little trim. Miter cut on the end. Just like that, and then I'm going to cut off just a little bit of the bottom. Doesn't really have to be exact. So same thing on this side. I am really excited though to go to Disney World because Disney World is like my most favorite thing, even more than stamping, believe it or not. So we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to trim both of these off. We're going to give them a trim short-wise, and then we're going to give them a little miter cut. Have all my fast passes. We're going to actually be there for 10 days. So we're super fortunate and meeting a couple of our friends there, and my in-laws are going. My dad's actually going for a few days, which is a miracle in itself. All right, and this one up here we already trimmed, if you recall. All right, so let me get all these out of the way, and then what we're going to do is we're going to pick some DSP, because what I want to do is I also want to stamp something. The box is going to close like this, and I thought it'd be cute if we put the farmhouse on the front and then maybe a tree. We'll have to see what it looks like. And then we'll put a little bit of DSP on the, we'll do it on the front, the top, and the back. We won't do it on the bottom. So let me grab my stamps, and we're going to stamp. And I did some of this ahead of time because I don't want to make this video take forever, because I know sometimes that can be super annoying. So what we're going to do is I have some Whisper White. Let's see if I have a piece here that's not all scrubbed up already. I have so many pieces of Whisper White in here. It's like truly not even funny. Okay, so we're going to do this with Memento because we're going to color these. I'm going to show you what I did. We're going to color these with our stamping blends. Okay, so we have our, whoops, missed a spot there. We have our farmhouse. And Houston. How's the weather in Houston? Still warm there? Can't imagine Texas being anything but hot, so that's probably just me being ignorant of Texas weather. I'm sure it has to get at least a little chilly there. And then we're going to stamp our tree. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is what I colored these out with earlier. And again, the cool part about this is both of these do have coordinating dies. So that's pretty nice. And if you do purchase these together, you save 10%. So you have the house die, which we can cut out the house. We have the tree. We have the truck. But the cool thing is you also get these two little labels. So these are pretty fun. So you can cut things out with those if you wanted to cut out your sentiment, which I'll show you that later. We'll kind of figure out if that's what we want to do or not. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and color these in. And the colors that I picked for these earlier are, oh, gosh, Cherry Cobbler. I had a complete brain fart there. Pool Party for the windows. Crumb Cake for the house. Did I pick? Yes, the house. I have Smoky Slate for the roof. And then Old Olive kind of for like some of the decorative accents. And then I also have the Crumb Cake for the tree as well. So I'm going to show you these. Weather's all relative. Yes, indeedy. That is absolutely true. I'm going to show you these, and I'm going to kind of just do them a little bit, and then I'll show you what I finished earlier, because again, I didn't want to make you have to suffer. So when you're doing your Stampin' Blends, just a quick tip. When you do these, first of all, you want to make sure that you keep your caps near. So what I usually do is I will open both of them up depending on what side I'm going to use. And I'll kind of keep them both in my hand so I can take one out, use it, put it in, take the other one out and use it. Because the longer that you leave these exposed to air, they will dry out. Tell me how I know that, because I did it. So you want to keep them covered up. But the other thing is too, you want to either start with light or dark and then add the other one and then blend it back in with the opposite. I generally tend to start with light because I think it's easier to add the dark. It's not as easy to take it away, even with the color lifter. And I think I kind of just like to start that way. So I'm going to start with light. And we're going to just do this on the roof. So we have our Smoky Slate Light. And I do find that I probably use the smaller tip a little bit more. So again, now since I did that a little bit, I'm going to bring in the dark and kind of color in this and add a little bit of shading. Because I've seen that some people do use these and they kind of just color. They don't really blend with them. They just kind of color things in. So you can add quite a bit of shading if you see from that. And it does give it a lot of dimension. You just kind of have to take your time and play around with them to be able to figure out how the shading best works for you. And the other thing is, I am not an art major or an art student. I don't really know that much about art. I'd like to think I do, but I don't. So I kind of just decide where I think the shadows would be if I was looking at my house. So then I'll blend these again together. And then you can always go back in and even add a little bit more of the dark. You can add it to the bottom, a little bit to the side. And then you have, it does give a lot of depth to it. So that is for the roof. And then what I did with the Cherry Cobbler is I did the shutters. So again, I did the same thing. I kind of pop both of these open and keep them in my hand, just like that. I'll start with the light. And you'll notice I'm kind of doing like a halfway job of coloring these. I'm not even really coloring them all the way. Oops, I got that on the window. Somebody needs to clean their windows in this house. Okay, and then what I did was I go back in with the dark and kind of fill in. And if you can see there between the two, it does give a depth to it, really without a whole lot of blending. So it kind of just depends on what you want to do with these. Now this one specifically, because this is kind of a small area to color. You can go back in and do it again with the light, but I thought that the way I colored it, I thought it looked really nice just this way. Let me just finish just this little bit. Okay, so that was for the shutters. I generally usually use Pool Party if I'm coloring in anything with the windows. But the other thing you could do is if you wanted to, instead of having like these two windows, let's say nobody's upstairs, and put this one here, a little bit here, and nobody's in the front room. But you could say that somebody might be in the bedroom and pick out like a really soft, this is pineapple light. Let's see what this looks like. Could do like a window where somebody's in here. You see that little warm glow from your window? So like someone's in here reading, and then the second floor we could make dark again. So that's another idea. You could also do like a light gray if you wanted to, but another idea there. And then finally, I also did old olive kind of for the accent pieces. So for the light old olive, I did the posts. Makes me think of Mary Poppins. And I don't even know what you call this up here. The dormer, I guess that could be. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of the dark old olive here, kind of on the shadow lines. And then I also did this up here. Other thing you could do is you could do black, because we do have that Stampin' blend now that's in black, which I will tell you, I don't really know how much you could use the dark black unless you were doing something really Halloween-y, because that dark black is super black. Okay, so there's that. And then the other thing we could do is crumb cake for the rest of the house. Now, crumb cake light and dark don't really look like they're that much different, but when you color, and also I have the caps on the wrong ends, so maybe that could be why. When you color them, they are worlds apart. That's exactly what I did. No wonder they didn't look like they were different. So there you go, light and dark. So when you do these, they really are worlds apart. So I'm going to start again with the light. I'm going to have the light and the dark open. Let's try to get them. I probably at some point had both the caps off and goofed that up. So when you start with your light, same thing again. I kind of just color, I don't want to say willy-nilly, but I do leave a little bit of white, because that way you can fill it in either after the fact with the light or with the dark, really. Okay, so I have a lot of white space in there. So then I'm going to go back in. I'm going to add a shadow underneath of where the roof would be, and a shadow. I've been sticking with shadows kind of on the left, as if the sun was over here, even though the sun's probably not out in this. Can add just a little bit of a layer here at the other roof. And then, once again, take your small, or your light, and just blend it. Now this one I waited just a little bit too long, so you don't want to do such a large area. But we can always bring in a little bit of dark, kind of darken up this side, a little bit of light, fill in all the spots that I might have missed. Okay, so then the other thing I did was with the tree, I started out and I did actually the entire thing. I'm going to switch to the other end on this one. I did the entire tree, and I did kind of go outside the lines, and I'll show you why when I show you the one I did ahead of time. So I did the whole thing in light, and then I went back in again with the pointer and with the dark. And I brought this back in, kind of added like a couple spots where I thought it would be darker. Came back in again with the light, which kind of gives it that whole overall more dark look. But the other thing that you can do, and I know this looks really sloppy, but the way I cut it out, you'll understand in a minute. You can also even go back and add, if you'd like, a little bit of the bronze. If you want it a little bit darker, you could add a little bit of the bronze, which this one's more for the skin tone, just to the side. And then blend it in again with your light. And it really gives, like if you can see that, it really gives a 3D dimension to the tree. So what I did in actuality was I went and cut these out. So this is the one I colored ahead of time. Here's the house, and here's the tree. So as you can see, the tree had a lot of white, and it made it stand out, but in not really a good way. So what I did was I went back in and I filled it in with the light crumb cake, And then the other thing I did this with the house. I went around in gray. But what I did was I'm going to go around and just get the tips of everything. So I kind of can cover up that harsh white edge. And even though there's a lot of white space, and it really technically isn't the tree that you cut out, it kind of makes it blend together, believe it or not, because the way this die cuts out both of these, really, it does trim it a little bit bigger than you think it is. So if you color this, I did this one with the light smoky slate. What I just did was took the tip off and kind of went around it. It really ended up giving it so it pops. So those are the two pieces that we're going to end up using today. What was that? Coloring over the stamp. No, I have never had that, and that's as long as you use Memento ink. So you do have to use Memento with the Stampin' Blends because these are alcohol-based markers, and this is a resistant ink. If you use StazOn, it actually will bleed and it'll mess up everything, and then you might risk getting it onto the lighter color tips. But if you use Memento, I have never had anything bleed, even with coloring that. You can see. Now, granted, when you color a lot, you know, this does go through. Especially, you can see for some of these, it does go through. So if you were really rubbing it, you could rub off some of the paper. But I've never had any of the tips get, and you even look at it, this one, just for FYI. It does lose the color more near the tip. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. But it doesn't ever pull the black into the tip. So I've never had that problem specifically. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I have the house and the tree. And we're going to decorate our box with a little bit of DSP. Let me move all of these out of the way. I just want to keep these. That way I can tell you guys what colors we use later. Scoot these over. And then the other thing you could do too, just as a sidebar if you wanted to, if you are giving this to someone and maybe have a little bit of trouble opening things, you also could use your punch. And you could punch out like a little lip. So you could use a circle punch. I'm just going to punch just a tiny lip here. That looks like it's about centered. Just for them to be able to get their finger in to open up the box. But you could certainly use half of the punch or more of the punch if you wanted to. But the punches are great for that. And then also if you wanted to, you could stamp your sentiment and cut it out with this. So just depending on what you wanted to do. So we're going to grab, let's see, our Festive Farmhouse DSP. And I'm going to try to see what will go with this. That's a little too busy. Could probably use the green. That would be pretty. We could use the wood panel. This is really nice. I really like the wood panel. Could use the wood panel. Actually, I think it would be better if it went this way. On the front there. And then we could use this other plaid on the back. So we could kind of mix and match. We could use these two together. This is really nice. Maybe we'll go with these. I think these two will be nice. You know what? Kathy, that's honestly the truth. All you really have to do with the blends is just to practice, and quite honestly, don't give yourself a hard time, because I think a lot of times you're going to think it looks way worse than it really truly does. It doesn't ever, I don't think it ever looks that bad. And some people really give themselves a hard time for coloring and think that they did a terrible job. And I think it looks really nice, actually. So what we're going to do is we're going to trim up these pieces. So these measure 4 by 2. So we want to cut just a hair underneath. So I'm going to say, let me go with this. I'm going to see how this fits on there. This is like 1 7/8. And that's still just a little too big. So the next one I'm going to cut, I'll cut a different one. I'm going to cut this at 1 3/4. So that'll be 1 6/8. So this will be for the front. I'll put the other one on the back. And then we're going to do another one here. Let's see. This will be for the top. So again, it's 1 3/4 or 1 6/8. And then I'm going to take it to 3 3/4. That way we have a little bit of room there. So same for this one, 3 3/4. And when I post this again later, I will post all the measurements for everything on here. 3 3/4. Okay, so we have that, and we move these out of the way. One other thing we have to do is we have to add our sentiment. Now, I did not buy a lot of the Thanksgiving stamp sets, but I'm going to share with you a couple of them that I have. Painted Harvest is a great one. Gather together and give thanks you could use. I'm thankful for you. This would be great to add to the box if you were giving this to someone. Either way, if you were the host or the hostess. You also have the Give Thanks. This is in the Labels to Love. This coordinates with the Everyday Label Punch for these, but you could also punch the Give Thanks out with that. You could punch something behind it, punch this with a circle and lay it on top. I love this. This is still one of my favorite stamp sets because the way the sentiments are written, I just love this handwriting, script, penmanship, whatever it is you want to call it. So Thankful for You, I think this is the one I'm going to use because this is one of my favorites. And then we also have, there's a couple other stamp sets, but they're downstairs so I can write up my blog post. So I don't have those handy. But you also have Itty Bitty Greetings. So you could use, oh, what was the one I saw earlier? Many Thanks. And there was another one here, With Gratitude. So either of those would look really nice too. So again, I'm going to use the Thankful for You from the Sheltering Tree. And let me see if I have a scrap. That probably, see what this will look like, if it'll fit in here. This might be a little too big though. Yeah, that's a little big. You could put it with this die set. That would be cute. You could punch it out with the Pretty label punch. That'll be nice. But I think I'm going to just put it on a strip. I'm going to stamp it really thin on a strip and just give it like an angle cut or something. All right, so you can see this is obviously one of my very favorite stamp sets because it is very, very, very well loved. All right, so let me move this over. And even this, you could even use this from Our Home to Yours would be great. That's in the Farmhouse Christmas. Or Thoughts of Happiness and Joy to You and Yours. I know this is a little more Christmassy, but it's still very nice. I like it anyway. All right, let me grab my scrap. And then all we have to do is put this baby together. So I have, oops, that's glossy white. Don't want to use that. I have just a strip, and this is just from when I cut my paper. That might be just a little too thin. So I'm going to grab I always keep all of these strips. One's a little bit fatter. I keep these when I cut up my paper for using these for sentiments. So I'm going to use this one just because it's a little bit bigger. And what we'll do is we'll just trim it down a smidge. Okay. So I'm going to do this, I think, in Mossy Meadow. Just because the whole rest of the box, most of the accents are in Mary Merlot. So we'll do this in Mossy Meadow. Just to do a little something different. I'm going to grab... Nope, that's a little too small. A little bigger block. And I'm going to go ahead and line this up on the bottom. And looks pretty. And I'll put that on all places instead of putting it at the top. I put them at the bottom, but that's okay. So I'm going to put this close to the bottom where I'm stamping. Give it a press. I mean, this, I don't know who wrote this out, but I just love that. It's so pretty because it kind of looks like somebody just wrote a little note like, Thankful for You. Lovely. Absolutely. I'm going to trim this off. I'm going to leave a little bit. I'm going to flag, I think, the end of it. So I'm going to trim this down just a smidge with my scissors. Okay. And I'll grab my paper snips. I'm going to just flag. I don't know if I left enough to flag both ends or not. Not specifically. So we're going to leave this end straight and then flag just that one end. So let's put this together. You definitely can use something very strong. So I would say tear and tape, but I'm actually going to use my Tombow liquid glue to put my DSP on. So we're going to put, which one I would say with a little smaller. We're going to put this on the front. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in and retrim this. So I'm going to put this on the front. I've been using this to pieces because I love this Tombow liquid glue and I'm trying to get like every single part of it I can out. All right. Oh, see? So that's the good part about Tombow is it does let you move. The thing is, if you press too hard, it lets you move. All right, so that looks pretty lined up there. And then we're going to put the plaid one onto the top, and then we'll put the other striped one onto the back. You could also use this side too if you want. That's another really nice one. Okay, and let me grab this one while I'm at it. And this would even be just a nice box to give somebody if you wanted to give them like a little something with their birthday. You know, maybe if you're getting them like a smaller gift. Oops. And you wanted to put it into a little box That'd be a great idea. And then this one is going to be the back. This is the one that I cut just a little bit bigger, so that's why I put it on the back. And if you wanted to, you could put one on the bottom too, but I'm not going to put one on the bottom. All right, so I'm going to give this just a second. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead back in and I'm going to just put this through and just trim that little bit off. Oh, a little bit more. There we go. So that matches up just like that. And then we're going to put some tear and tape on. So again, this is going to be our front flap. So this is going to go in. So we want to put tear and tape on this piece, these two front pieces. We don't want to put any on this. We can fold it in, and maybe just a little bit on these pieces here. So if we're going to fold them in from the back to the front. So I'm going to put a little bit here and a little bit here. Let me make sure that I did that correctly once again. So yeah, so a little piece here. Okay, and then again we'll put a little piece here. This will adhere to our front box, and then I'm going to put some on the other one as well. And I'm going to flip this over, put a piece on here, and hopefully everything will go together well, since, you know, we do these as we go along. So hopefully we've made it this far. We won't have any fudges. All right, so I'm going to peel these off. I'm going to peel them all off and just work carefully. Hi, Stephanie. Thanks for hopping on. Suzanne. You guys missed anything, all you got to do is head back to the beginning once the live ends, and you can see the whole thing. We're making a Thanksgiving box. Lots of fun. All right, so I'm going to bring this piece in first. And I'm going to just press lightly just till I make sure I have it lined up the way I want it. So that's the back. And then we're going to bring in the front. And even though I have my double lines here, you could cover this up with a piece of paper if you goof it up, but I'm not going to worry about it. And then bring this in to the front, and let's see if this actually tucks. Nope, we're going to trim. I'm going to trim off a little bit more. I had a feeling this would happen, and sometimes it does. It's okay, though. I'm going to trim off just a little bit more of this. And I'm going to give this just a little bit more of an angled cut. And yours might be different, because it is, you know, true that the paper always depends on what paper you use and probably what color it is. Everything has got its own little idiosyncrasies to it. Let's see if this goes in a little better. There we go. Perfect. So that goes in just like that. So you might have to just trim your flaps up just a little more. And now that I have this pretty much, I think, where I want it, I want to see if I can adjust this just a little bit. I had to get out my dental floss the other day because the way I put something on, oh, it was so crooked. You guys have no idea. I actually had to stop crafting for the night because I was putting so many things on crooked. Obviously, I was doing a lot wrong. But I was able to save it by sliding the floss underneath of it. So if you've never done that before, give these a nice press and make sure they fold. Okay, oops, I got a little too far. Okay, so this does close pretty well on its own. You certainly could add a little bit of ribbon if you wanted to, but you don't have to. And now what we're going to do is we're going to just put our little tree and our house onto the front, just like that. I think I'm going to put the tree behind. Yeah, we'll put the tree behind, and then I'm going to put this in front as well. So I'm going to put this on with Tombow once again. That way it gives me a little bit of mobility of where I want to stick it. So I'm going to put this, make sure my Tombow is below the main roof because I don't want any glue sticking up. And the tree, I'm going to do the bottom, so the trunk of the tree and just those first two branches. And then we'll add our sentiment on afterwards. So let me put the tree on first. And you can put this up higher, you can put it lower, you could trim your trunk a little smaller if you wanted to, just depends. Thank you for sharing with your crafty friends, I appreciate that. Put that on there. pretty good. No glue sticking out. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to roll this just a little bit with my fingers just to give it a little bit of kind of a flow to it. And I'm going to put this on with dimensionals just so it sticks out a little bit. Doesn't have to be a lot, just a little. If you think one end's going to stick out more than another, you can also put 2 dimensionals. So take the backing off of one and put another one. Kind of gives it like that more of a 3D look. Okay, so I'm going to put this here. Thankful. And I know it does cover up the house a little bit, so you could put this on the top if you like. Kind of just depends on what you want to do. So I have mine popping out a little in the front there. Thankful for you. And you could add ribbon to it if you wanted to. If you wanted to dress it up a little bit more, or make it so it was closed. But again, you can't see this if it's sitting that way, Rachel. Come on. So there's that. And you could fill this with lots of goodies. I definitely think with having this stuff back here, putting that little lip in there makes it really easy to get stuff out. So I would definitely suggest using a punch or something. But let's see what kind of stuff I have here. Most of my stuff is Halloween, so I will say. But you can fit a Reese's pumpkin in there, which that will be getting eaten shortly. And a Ghost Twix. Both of those will fit in there, and it will completely close. You could probably put, what else do I have up here? I have some, I don't know. I'm not sure if a mini cheese ball bag will fit in here, but you might be able to fit something. You could give these to the kids sitting at the Thanksgiving table with like a little treat in it for afterwards. Yeah, this is a little bit much just because of the size of this bag. So probably don't want to do that, but you could put like a little bag of pretzels, lots of fun stuff in there. And then you could put these out. You could maybe put in, oh, another good idea would be you could print out something. You could put some crayons in here and put these at the kids' table if you were feeling adventurous and you wanted them coloring in your dining room. I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad idea. Lint truffles, there you go. But really cute box. And then I don't think we need the other box. So the other one with the flaps, you'd be able to open it. So I don't think I'm going to put this one on here because the way this one glues together, I think it's a little bit more sturdy than having the box. Another thing you could do if you wanted to, if you were really feeling crafty, is you could even put a piece of DSP in the bottom just to decorate the bottom there. You could put the house and the tree on the front, and then instead you could put the greeting on the inside here, and you could put when it opens it says thankful for you. That way you don't cover up your house and your tree. So that's another good idea too. So thank you guys for watching. I can't believe it's only 10:15. This is the second week in a row I finished before an hour. I'm so proud of myself, and I hope you guys are happy too. That way it's less people having to suffer through long videos. But anyway, if you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. I do still have the October hostess code at the top. So there's a few things that you get for free if you make purchases. There's a $50 option, I believe, is the PDF. And then I have something for $100 and something for $150, but you do have to make sure you use that hostess code. I may be a little bit late in sending out my thank yous for the end of the month, because by the time I get back, it'll be mid-November. So rest assured, I did not forget you. I promise. I will send everything out as soon as I get it. I hope you guys have an awesome day, and I will see you next Tuesday right back here at 9:30. Thanks for watching.